I want to give you a little talk on how professional people are. You know, I might say that I have to talk professional when I'm in a professional field. Like, not now. I usually don't like talking like that. But anyway, you know, I'll give you an example. Like, I don't want to say, I don't want to say my name or anything because I got too many Muslim and Russian enemies on this damn thing. But I know, like, my uncle was a big CPA in New York. He used to have his own firm. He used to refer to Price Waterhouse as, they always know him as, PW. Yeah, before they all merged, they were the Big 8, and they're the Big 5, they're the Big 3, whatever the hell they are now. He used to call them PW was poor workers. And he had his office up in the Chrysler Building in New York City. He had accountants working for him and everything. And he used to even sleep up there sometimes when he's really busy during tax season and things. He was named Who's Who in Business in New York City for a number of years. I don't want to say who he was. He knew all the top people up in New York, the top Hollywood entertainers. He used to do special work down over Montauk Point, Long Island, if you want to dig some conspiracies out of that. Basically, he was the top of his field. Definitely. And, he knew all the families in New York and everything else. But I'm going to tell you one thing. He got cancer eventually, right? He basically went into a health kick, and he kicked it, and then it basically it crept up on him anyway. He was a heavy smoker and stuff, Cool guy, But I'm going to tell you one thing. When it came down to when everything fell apart basically due to that, because, they gave him chemotherapy. And, this is one reason I'm into a lot of this health stuff, because I realized these jackass doctors kill people left and right, and they smile at you and they go, "Oh, yeah, how are you feeling?" while they're charging you all kinds of money, right? That's one reason it actually gave me a lot of incentive to get into a lot of this health stuff, because I realized, and I also have to watch this alternative health because there's a lot of BS in there. But he actually was dying of the cancer, and he probably, if they did nothing, he probably wouldn't have died. It was actually the chemo that killed him, right? But actually who helped him? It was the blue-collar worker, the firemen, the volunteer firemen, and all this kind of shit. Those are the ones that were actually helping him. Not the fucking professionals, excuse my language, but they disgust the hell out of me, because their whole mindset is like they're all like polite and honest as long as you got something, or we're going to make a deal together, so we're going to make money. But as soon as you really got a problem, they're like vaporware. Totally. A lot of these people that are professionals, like, they won't have their kid go in the military. Never in a million years. Now, my uncle, his sons were all in the military. He was in the military. He was, I was in the military. Everybody in my family was in the military. I don't know. That's just how it is. But, most times, the professionals, they'll abandon you like vaporware in 2 seconds flat. That's a fact. They want something, and they want something now. They want to get something out of it, and that's it. So, it wound up happening to him, too. Even though he was far above anybody else, at the end, the ones that were helping him were volunteer firefighters, blue-collar workers, people that were fighting fires and, helping people for nothing. They weren't getting paid for that job. Those are the ones that helped him the most. And, you usually see this kind of stuff, like, when somebody's broke down on the road, Who's the guy that will stop and help you? It's usually a guy in a pickup truck or somebody in an old car that understands, hey, you got a problem, you broke down. If you see, how many, would you ever expect anybody with a Mercedes or some shit, or a BMW or Cadillac, to be stopping and helping you do anything, or even offer you a ride, or say, can I get you some gas or some shit, or whatever the hell it is, or I need to call some? Nah, they don't give a shit. They don't. And this is always my beef with these religious pastors too, because it's a 501(c) act. And most of these people, most of the people that actually do the fighting for our country, they're blue collar. They're all blue collar. They're the ones that go in the military and stuff like that. It's not It's not the professionals. You know, a lot of people, what did they do during the Vietnam War? They went to college so they could avoid going into the war, right? Or they did something, right? I mean, maybe it wasn't my family that did that shit, but it was like other people. I see a lot of people do that, and they do that today. You know, actually, if you go in the military at any time, you really don't know what the hell's going to happen. You don't. I mean, there's always something that can happen. You know? But if you think but the professional desk jockeys, you know, which I am one of. I am one of them. But somehow I'm getting more and more wanting to puke on these guys because they're more, well, I always hated them. I always hated them. Even though mathematically I could freaking dust them. You know, my SATs in school were always consistently 99th percentile mathematics. I could dust the living shit out of 99% of these office shitheads. You know, I put together stuff in, I know some people with programmers will tell me I'm an idiot for using Access database, but nobody knows that. I was using it. You know, I did some of the most complicated accounting software with custom programs and other databases that tapped into that complicated software, and you know, actually found the best profitability and made a lot of money for a lot of people, big time. I worked on some big shit, you know what I mean? But I'm going to tell you this though, these guys disgust me, man. I'm almost thinking about going into total. I mean, I don't really need to do a career change, but I'm screwing around with these cars and stuff. I like doing that stuff. I don't know, but you know, I'm almost like thinking, I don't know, the more I run it, they really disgust me. The professionals disgust me. You know? For the most part, their kids will never go in the military to fight a war. They won't do it. So, you know, when the chips are down, don't count on them. Well, you pretty much know that. Don't count on them. And, you know, even like somebody with my uncle who was like the top and had the ones that, when the chips were down, you know who really helped them? Volunteer firemen. Not even like the city's firemen, the volunteer firemen. They're the ones helping them all the time. It wasn't family, even. It wasn't even, you know, it was people. You know, I was overseas when that happened, when he died and all that shit was happening. Also, I would have helped him, but I mean, I was overseas. I was on the other side of the world, but you know, in the military. But you know, nobody helped him that was professional, because these guys are like, yeah, they're all kind and sweet. They're just like a doctor, you know. They act nice and sweet to you while, oh yeah, hi, and I could throw another $150 on your insurance bill. So I said, hi, how you feeling? Oh, hi. Oh, You know, most of the time people don't understand what a professional does. That's usually how they get away with it, and the only reason they got a job is because of big government. Government tells people, you have to comply with this, you have to comply with SARS, you have to comply with the tax laws, you have to comply with the health code, you have to comply with the employment code, you have to have this and all this shit. That's why these people exist. But what they're really doing is, even when they're working in corporations, they're 99% of them are, you know, just filling out forms. They're not actually producing something. And I'm not going to knock somebody that's got a brain, because I understand. So I like doing accounting when I was for construction, because it was making something physical that was going to be there for like 100 years. You know? Nothing was made even out of wood. It was made out of like concrete, rebar, and all this other good shit. You know what I mean? Nothing was cheap, you know. Actually, some of that stuff might be there for like a lot of centuries too, because some of the projects were like $335 million construction cost. But you know, I mean, I was looking at profitability, because when you look at those kind of numbers, it's almost like I realize an engineer with a degree and brains is necessary, because when you build a bridge, you got to make sure that the trucks don't fall into the ravine or the river, because the stresses on the rivets and all this kind of shit. You got to understand that kind of stuff. You got to understand, you know, the building's got to withstand earthquakes. The building's got to withstand high winds. Like the Twin Towers, man. Whoever engineered that shit should have been freaking hung up with a noose, because, you know, a couple little planes knocked it down. But we know the deal with that, you know. That was a quick asbestos removal program, because the asbestos in the Twin Towers was going to be costing more money than it would cost to tear them down. So that was part of the reason too. But anyway, I just want to put out a shout out to some of the blue collar workers that actually make up the United States and actually do something constructive and actually know what the hell they're doing. Because, you know, a lot of times, you know, people think blue collar, they don't necessarily have brains, but they do have brains. There's a lot of different strata. You know, actually, even when you work on a car, it takes some brains, which I found out because I didn't screw around with cars for a while, and I started getting into this electronic stuff, and I was like, whoa, what the hell is all this shit? And, I learned a couple of things, I guess, better than some of the mechanics out there, even, for just being a hobbyist, you know? But I also want to give a shout out to Pete over there at Southwest Rod and Custom and DIY Auto School. And, actually, if he was going to be really, really, I don't know if you could pull this off, but, you know, why not just be Pastor Pete? And then you could, like, say, you know, you got a 501(c) body shop, and you take a pastor's salary, and you bless every car. You know, when it's done, you bless it, you throw some holy water on it, and you bless all the water that you sand the car with, and then you say, you know, it's blessed. So it's a religious thing. You know, every car that goes in there is going to be anointed by holy water and God, and therefore, as a 501(c), you don't pay taxes. It's all contributions, and you draw a pastor's salary. And I think every business in America should be a 501(c). And actually, you got to think about, you know, a pastor that actually works with their hands and does something is a lot better than somebody that just picks up a Bible and recites something out of it and says, yeah, Jesus is going to save you, and here's a talk, and that's it, right? Anyway, so, you know, I always had my ideas on this stuff too, because, you know, the 5 M's, the Mary Magdalene medicinal marijuana masseuses, right? So that'd be another deal. But anyway, I just want to tell you, though, the professional desk jockeys will abandon you in 2 seconds flat. That's how they are. 99% of them. 99% of them. As a matter of fact, when you got, you know, a problem with, and my uncle found this out. I mean, he had all the connections in New York. Man, he had all of them. He knew all the big families and all the other shit. Entertainment in Hollywood. Those were some of his accounts. Some of the biggest entertainment names in Hollywood. I don't want to say who the hell they were, you know, because it's like really name dropping. But especially in the '60s, man. Oh man, they were the top names in the business. And, you know, when it came right down to it, when you really got a problem, you're down and out with cancer. And, you know, that would have probably never been a problem, too, because the doctors killed him. If they did nothing, he probably would have lived another several years at least. But no, chemo, kill you. So, you know, that's why I really put out a lot of, I mean, the doctors killed a lot of people in my family. And I know they've done this to a lot of other people, you know. They say it's successful with cancer when you live 5 years. I'm saying that ain't nothing. How about 50 years? Anyway, you know, actually I put out some, actually I'll tell you the truth, I want to, you know, if you're really smart and you're really cheap and you want to not spend a lot of money on health, you should look at that liposomol encapsulated vitamin C video I did because, man, that stuff's cheap and I think it's got a lot of power. But I just want to tell you, just don't tell it to the professional people. Let the professional people be victimized by their own bullshit. You know what I mean? The hell with them, right? The hell with them. You know, I'm really, like, disgusted with a lot of this bullshit, to tell you the truth, with these professionals, because they will not, when it comes down to it, most of them, the vast, vast majority of them, I mean, there's exceptions, but the vast majority of them are like vaporware. They will not, you know, the shit gets thick. They're fair weather friends. That's what the hell they are. So anyway, just want to put out a shout out. You know, every time I'm putting up a freaking, you know, I don't put too many automotive videos up, and I just do kind of like little bullshit. But I noticed like it's surprising. Like some, you know, I know some weird shit. I mean, I just kind of like this stuff, to tell you the truth, as a hobby. But every time I put up a video, I'm going to put some stuff for a shout out to Southwest Custom and Rod and at DIY's Auto School, because actually that's about one of the few channels I actually consistently watch on YouTube. And I picked up that guy is one of the few, because actually in that trade, to tell you the truth, there's a lot of people in the bodywork in the automotive world, they're screwed up. He's one of the few that actually is good. There's a lot of them I've seen. So I mean, I know a little bit about that shit. It's like they'll put a fender on a car. It's got the primer that came with it, from the the fender manufacturer. They just scuff it up. They put some pre-cleano on it and they paint it. They don't put any primer sealer over the old primer because and then so many years later the paint starts going. But by that time, if it's like auto collision work, at that time, the guy, if it's like somebody that just buys a car every few years, this stupid thing's gone anyway. Somebody else got it. You know what I mean? And nothing's guaranteed for 5 years or some shit, but that's about what happens. But, this guy, he actually does this shit right. And I realize there's not too many of them around that do this shit right. So, I don't know. I'm just putting a shout out to that deal. And, it's those type of people that make America. The professionals, I know some people with brains are needed. I know that. I mean, I'm not saying that people with blue collar or not don't have brains. They do have brains. But I'm saying there's some people that are always at a desk. They're doing engineering on buildings. They're doing like the numbers calculation for like construction and stuff like that. There's some of that that's actually needed. Some of it's needed. Communications, like what we're doing right now on the internet. You think somebody's making this communicate that I'm saying right now, that it is, how it's getting to you. You think that's not by magic? It's done by smart people that know how to do that type of stuff. I'm not saying that type of stuff is not necessary. What I'm saying is we got a major bloating of bureaucrats shuffling government paper around for freaking bullshit. And a lot of these professional fields would not exist if it was not for Big Brother, freaking big bad government. It's not because some of these professional fields do exist because you need to know the engineering structure of building bridges and buildings and stuff. There's a lot of, most of the stuff, desk jockey stuff exists because we got a banking financial government racket going on. And these people are parasites. I don't like them. Anyway, over and out. Enough of this shit, because I want to be doing work outside of my Jeep and shit, and it's like, the time I go out there, it's like freaking rain, man. But it'll stop one of these days. Anyway, over and out.